Thank you for joining me on the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, AZ. I find the research and resources and then provide the fire service with the so what, now what, to ensure the health and well-being of every member of our profession. Together, let's thrive. Hello, listeners. It's AZ, and I'm back with another episode of the Fire Rescue Wellness Podcast. This is episode 210. Wow, 210 episodes in. That's crazy. Today, you will get to hear from my friend Sebastian Olave, who is a strength and conditioning coach with Austin Fire. We had a tremendous discussion about a little bit about how things work at Austin Fire and some of his programming philosophy that he uses with public safety. So, as always, I know you're going to enjoy it. Please leave us a rating and a review, and have a wonderful day. Hey, listeners, it's AZ. I'm back for another episode of the podcast, and today I'm with my friend Sebastian Olave. Say hello to the people.
Whoop, whoop. What's up, people?
Oh, I love it. Energy. I'm always reminded of the Scott Forbes episode where he was like, hey, and I'm like, Forbes, I cannot with you. Dr. Creatine, you are letting me down.
Right.
Anyway, I am super excited to talk to you today. And also, as usual, I am the laziest podcast host in the world. I will not be reading your bio. I will not be saying much about you. You get to introduce yourself. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Who is Sebastian? Tell me all the things.
Yeah. First and foremost, husband, father. I'm a strength and conditioning coach for Austin Public Safety Wellness. We're unique in that we work with kind of all three public safety agencies. I say three because our EMS is third service. I'm a musician. I sing. I play guitar a little bit. I was actually in a mariachi in college, and I played with my dad and his band growing up. So I do that way less than I'd like to right now, but looking to, as the kids get older, kind of introduce them into it, and get them going with it as well. I'm a lover of breakfast tacos. I'm born and raised in Texas. Corn tortillas for life. I don't do any of that flour stuff. And if you've not had a true corn tortilla, let me introduce you. It's not the cheap stuff at the store. You got to do the good stuff. It'll change your life.
Okay.
Usually pair that with caffeine. I love coffee. Usually drink it black, but not really big into the energy drinks, but definitely coffee addict. I'd say I love lifting heavy things and forging fellowship through fitness. My 3Fs. That's kind of my big thing. I think there's so much value in just bringing people together, getting sweaty, and that fellowship that brings. Whether it's a just casual training environment or a team training environment. And yeah, I'm a pretty big Star Wars nerd. That pretty much wraps it up. A little bit of everything.
My dude, I was not aware about the corn tortilla thing or the mariachi band. So interesting. Yeah. I think I may be speaking out of turn, but because I always confuse San Antonio and Austin. Clearly, I know they are two different cities, but I confuse them. The Women in Fire International Conference coming up next September, I think, is in Austin. Okay. If that is the case, I will be expecting you, Megan Lautz, Vanessa Frost, and I will all be there separately presenting. I will be expecting you to come over and like this whole corn tortilla thing indoctrinate me because I'm not a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Flour for life, but I will listen.
I'm glad you have an open perspective. That's good. At least you're open to it,
Yeah, I may very well dig the crap off of it and put it on a flour tortilla after I prove you wrong, but I'm open-minded. Then again, it may be in San Antonio and this whole thing might not work out. Whew.
San Antonio is relatively close. I mean, for tactical, it was like maybe, and I live south of Austin, so it was maybe like an hour drive. It was totally doable. I need to look at the dates, but yeah,
doable for a corn tortilla. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
All right, my dude. Oh, quick fun fact. Previous guest, Austin, from Austin, rugged athlete, firefighter, and Sebastian used to work together. So This is closing the loop, how I know Sebastian and Austin. My dude, what sets your soul on fire?
Man, I wore this shirt. I don't know if you can see it,
It
but
says strong.
it's an Alico barbell shirt that says strong is happy. I think that sums
Oh,
it up really, really well. I love helping people find their version of strong, whatever that looks like. Super passionate about that, and I think physical training parallels life in a lot of ways. In that, you learn how to problem solve. Like I wanted to get into Olympic lifting, and one of the prerequisites is you have to be able to front squat really well, right? My front rack was just terrible, so
same.
forcing me to troubleshoot how to get in a good position. It went from this phase of like, oh, I hate this is terrible, to kind of getting proficient, right, and starting to like it and all those things. And I think it mirrors life in a lot of ways that I really appreciate. As far as, especially, like, I feel like success in any endeavor is pretty simple, and simple doesn't mean easy, but I think long-term persistency and consistency is kind of the path to success for really anything you're looking to take on, any goal you have. And I think training is a good parallel to that. And kind of marrying that with, like, I really do think that physical fitness, like, you are forging the best version of yourself. You're helping folks be a better husband, be a better father, wife, brother, all those things. And people are generally happier, more kind when that's up, and they feel good about themselves, and being able to have a little impact on it, even if it's just a drop in the bucket, whether it's with an academy cadet or one of our incumbents, or through all the various things we do when we contact with our first responders, is just super, super rewarding. And for me, it's almost like a high. We things happen in our jobs that are just so out of our control, right? But I'll go to a station visit, and to see that eureka look on someone's face when it clicks, like how to keep your hips neutral on a squat or whatever it is we're covering that day, to see that, like, I'll be honest, I've never done drugs. I don't know what that's like, but to have that rush and feel what that's like, I could imagine, like, I leave like just super pumped, like made an impact, made a potent, a drop in the bucket to helping them be better. So I'd say for sure that sets my soul on fire.
My dude, I love your energy. And I always like to say two things about strong. Strong is never wrong. And,
Mm-hmm.
and I stole this one. This is like, stronger people are just more useful in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like,
Much more
what
useful.
is it? I
Harder
think
to
Mark
kill too.
Ripito. Yeah. Yeah. Mark Ripito's stronger is harder to kill. I think it's him that coined it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something like
That's pretty
that.
spot on.
Exactly. Last question before we dig into the nitty gritty. How are you, my friend, changing the world?
Um, I mean, I don't think I'm changing the world, but I can say with 100% honesty, I look really hard at making an impact with the folks I work with on a day-to-day basis. I promise I'm not brown nosing when I say this, but I first met you it was 2019 at the Tactical Conference in San Antonio, and I got the chance to hear you speak. And the "so what, now what" has really resonated with me ever since. And something we've done these past couple of years, where Austin's pretty tied heavily to WFI and the way they do their assessments and all those sorts of things. Um, and our folks have been doing it for a while, so a lot of them it's kind of stale, right? But I made my goal, like, how do we get the "so what, now what" and explain to them how each fitness component, while it's not like the absolute best, latest, and greatest as far as a physical assessment, what it means for them, and like make it relevant for them, whether you're a fresh academy graduate, or you're going to be retiring next year, like how aerobic capacity can affect performance. For example, with you go into a fire, you climb 3 sets of stairs, you're completely out of breath, you can't put a male and female end of a hose together because your heart rate's 200 beats per minute, right? You take 6 months to train VO2 max, improve that, all that sorts of thing. You come back and that situation's easier, along with now, like, your ability to combat all the diseases that firefighters encounter is just so much better. So trying to explain, like, yes, I don't know you. I know you don't run on the fire ground, much less on a treadmill, but here's how improving your VO2 max is going to help with not just job performance, but also your health outcomes in the long term. And trying to gauge, as we talk to them, we have 1,300 firefighters. We see them I mean, at the minimum, twice a year. They come through, they do our annuals at our wellness center, and then we do our station visits. So we're seeing them about twice a year, more because we see them at training and everything, but at a bare minimum, twice. So really trying to gauge where they're at in that, because that's a big, spectrum, right, between performance and health, where they're at, and try to make it relevant for them so that it matters and they see the value and hopefully start incorporating that in their training if they're not already.
Preach it louder, louder, louder. I can't remember. I know I just had this conversation in person. I don't know if I've ever had it on the podcast. So listeners, I apologize if I've told you this before. But for the most part, I did not participate very heavily in the testing process of my own department. So I would help out as needed, but I was contracted with other departments. And so in my mind, I'm like, it'd be like asking an electrician to do the electrician work for free on duty. Like for me, right. It just was kind of like a line I didn't care to cross. And so the last 3 months of my career, I had voluntarily moved to a different station just to help someone else out. And I didn't care. I was leaving. So I was at the station where fitness evals took place. And my battalion chief said, hey, I know you don't like to do this, and I know it feels like a conflict of interest for you. I would super appreciate it if you'd help me out. And I was like, okay. And so I did. I did a lot of fitness evals in those last few weeks of my employment. But what I did was very carefully explain each output, the body composition, the Gherkin protocol, the jump mat, like what does this all mean? How does it apply? And how can we improve it? And more than 10 people said to me, no one's ever explained this to me before.
Ding, 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 ding.
I didn't know it mattered. That's what we got. Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's crazy to me because it's like, well, what, like we've just been doing this and no one's explained, and maybe they haven't, but still like to know that they at least, maybe they don't love it, but they understand the why. That's huge for me.
Well, and it speaks to me for the whole, peer fitness trainers are a great force multiplier, but they're firefighters. They're not exercise physiologists. And so they can't necessarily be expected to be able to explain all that stuff. Right. So yes, anyway, that was a huge tangent. Whoa.
That's cool. I didn't know you'd helped out with the fitness evals.
Yeah. Yeah. And, maybe I should have been more giving or more charitable or whatever you would say, but just, it felt like you're kind of taking advantage of my skill set. And it wasn't like they wanted me to come in off duty and do it. They just wanted me to do it as extra duties and I didn't want to. So anyway.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
Yeah. Maybe I'd do it different if I had a do-over, but I'm not sure. Okay. So let's get to the real deal. Cause you mentioned 1,300 firefighters. How many cops and how many EMS personnel? How many total?
Yeah. EMS is about 600. And I think right now we're at about 1,800 for law enforcement.
Okay. Austin from Austin isn't there anymore, but you have other staff members helping you out. How many? Tell me about your staff.
Sure. We're unique also in the sense that we're kind of under the wellness umbrella. Like we're an occupational health clinic for our first responders. So you have your medical side of the house where we have a doctor and now 2 nurse practitioners, which is awesome. So we're increasing that staffing. We have a nurse supervisor, 2 nurses, our admin staff. And so that pretty much covers the medical side of it. On the fitness side, we have our supervisor, the program manager, and then 4 strength and conditioning coaches that work with all 3 agencies. So it's right now, like since our infancy, we started out as just fire, and this merger came about right around COVID 2020, 2021. I can't remember exactly when. So, that's a huge influx of people, but luckily we work with all of them in different capacities. So for example, like the Austin Fires, who we work with, provide the most services right now. So they come in for a mandatory annual physical on duty. We work with their cadets. We go out to their stations and they are generally put out of service for us to meet with them for injury mitigation or work out with them or that sort of thing for about an hour at a time. Versus EMS, they're so busy. There's so many trucks out there. We call them stand-up 24s that are literally, they clock in at 10, and there's some of them that they don't come back to the station till the next day at 10. So they're swamped. So that's a whole different animal. So getting them out of service is a little bit more challenging, and we're trying to get creative with those solutions. But we work with their recruits, and then with police, that's the one that we're trying to grow into and trying to work with a little bit more closely. We do their promotional exams at the Wellness Center and different medical exams when they promote, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's not like we're doing all the things for all of them, which is good. As we're growing, we're hoping to expand those services. But right now, it's a good thing that it's a little bit slower, because if everyone were to say yes, we need to triple our staff, as you can see.
I'm overwhelmed for you. You said I have lots and lots of questions about your OC health, but first, you said something that I feel like maybe some of the listeners, this is a novel idea to them, but you said 10 a.m. start time, and you were probably one of the first departments to go to that 10 a.m. start time. Were you there during the metamorphosis of changing the start time, or did that precede you?
It actually just changed. Oh gosh, like this year, about 6 months ago. So, it kind of came about all of a sudden. They wanted to trial it. It just kind of happened that, it was pretty quick, and there wasn't like a pilot program, like, hey, we're going to do this for a few months. It's, we're going to roll to this. I believe the union sent out a survey. But other than that, yeah, they made the shift, and here we are.
So potentially I am confusing San Antonio and Austin again, because I think there's a department, and maybe it's San Antonio, that has had that later start time for a number of years. How, in your travels throughout your jurisdiction, how are people liking that start time?
So for us, it was a shift from noon to 10. So it actually shifted back. So the idea was to try to get them a little bit more time. And as you can imagine, with 1,300 firefighters, the opinions are going to be varied. So generally, sure, the younger folks are a fan. Younger folks with no kids, because they're like, yeah, I get more of my day back. I can do more time, et cetera, et cetera. The folks that have like young kids that need to do drop off and all that things, not super happy, especially the ones that end up living out of town that are driving in from, like, say, San Antonio or New Braunfels or north. They're not thrilled, right? It got changed a little bit. It's also interesting because you used to have like 2 training windows. Folks would get there at noon. You'd have an afternoon training window, and because the shift changes at 10, there would be a lot of morning trainings as well. Whereas now, that morning, it's so short. They basically wake up, restock the truck, change everything, and then shift change hits around 10. And most folks are courteous and they get there 30 minutes before. The other interesting challenge is the chiefs usually staff their folks the morning of, right? They're in at like 10. So they got 2 hours to staff and see who's going where. Whereas now, because it's so early, the chiefs from the shift before are having to staff the shift after, which presents a whole nother set of challenges, because they may not know those people, what's going on, that sort of thing. So it's been interesting. It's mixed reviews, to sum it up.
Okay, that's fair. And we know what firefighters hate: change and the way things are.
And the way things are.
Wonderful. Let's dig into, for a moment, your occupational health clinic. I'm just curious, are you using a model where your OC health people can evaluate the musculoskeletal injuries and get people going to the correct specialists or diagnoses, or are you using a traditional workers' comp model where it's wait and see and et cetera, or a hybrid?
It's more of a hybrid. Like, say our physicians and our providers are not treating physicians or treating providers. The firefighters will go see their specialist, their GP, and get cleared by them. And usually they'll go through us and get cleared by our providers. So it's just kind of another box to check, to make sure that basically that the treating physicians understand the the job task list. They have a list of, I think it's 15 tasks that they need to accomplish, and just to make sure that all those things were accounted for, and that they're able to perform those job duties before our OC Health clears them and tells them they're good to go back to work.
Cool. Okay. I think I can stop chasing squirrels now, and we can get down to the real topic of our discussion today, which is structuring around the chaos and periodizing around shift schedules. First things first, for our listeners who are not athletes or who have never trained in sort of a periodized fashion, what the heck does periodization even mean?
Sure. Just to put it simply, it's just how you organize training in a long-term model, like what phases you want to focus on, when you train, how many days a week you're training certain physical adaptations, and what that looks like on more of a, monthly level, 3 months, basically longer term level.
So what you're saying is that I should not be training as absolutely hard as I can every single day. That's not the best method? ? Ding,
ding, ding, ding, ding.
Okay. Oh my gosh, I'm crushing it today.
2 for 2.
No, and I do think that there's this misconception that the job is difficult. Therefore, the training needs to be super difficult every single day.
Right.
And if I'm not adding 5 pounds to my bench press every single week for the rest of my life, I'm not being successful.
For sure. Absolutely.
But think about it. If you started when you were 16 and you started adding 5 pounds per week to your bench press, my gosh, it just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen.
Right.
So your objectives that you talked about, and maybe we'll try to stay organized. I don't know. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. You were going to talk about how the demands of a shift schedule impact training adaptations. Actually, let's just start with that one. Let's riff on that. How does the firefighter shift schedule impact how I adapt to the stressors I put on my body? The mic is yours, my friend.
Sure. I mean, to start out with, if you look at all the research and just talk to anybody that's worked a shift schedule, I mean, the first thing they're going to tell you is just how wonky the sleep is, and trying to find some sort of regularity with what that looks like. Because, depending on your shift schedule, every other day or every third day, you're having your butt kicked. That's sleep wise, which we know hormone wise, training wise, recovery wise, your training is really only good as your recovery. So if you're not able to put good things in your body, stay hydrated and sleep, whereas, we ask our folks, do you really think you're getting bigger, stronger, faster in the weight room or on the conditioning grounds? And they just kind of look at me and they're like, yes. I'm like, well, think about it. All the magic happens when you're doing that recovery. So if you're not doing those things, right, training is just another stressor that if you're not able to recover from, that risk of injury goes up, the risk of burnout goes up, right? Depression, all that kind of cascade that happens. And then, on top of the stress of, allostatic load of just the daily stress of being an adult, plus the stress of the job and what you're having to witness as a first responder, put all that into it. I mean, that's very different than what a civilian is having to deal with. So from a recovery standpoint, you have to really, really prioritize that, number one, because if you're not, training is just it's like stacking on another set of calls. It's like picking up overtime, just another stressor that you're not able to recover from. And depending on what you do, you could either be going on one path versus the path to gains and what we're looking to get. Gains
with a Z, please spell correctly.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the first guest that has used the term allostatic load. But also, I truly believe that once is never. If we say something one time, if we put one social media post out, if we send one email, if we make one phone call, we might as well not do one thing. So please dig into that allostatic load a little bit more. You said the stress of being an adult, but what does that all entail?
Sure. I mean, if you just think about daily life stressors, bills to pay, if you're managing kids, if you're managing aging parents, all these things that we don't really think about, all those stressors stack up. If we tell folks, if you don't take anything else from our introductory presentation on resiliency, stress is stress is stress. right? It's all, your body doesn't know the difference. So if you keep stacking those factors, you're increasing what's called your allostatic load, and everyone's got a breaking point. And like I said, it could be mental, could be physical, spiritual, all those things. The body doesn't know the difference. So if we keep stacking those stressors on, eventually something's going to give. So it's, essentially the stress of adulting, doing all the things that a responsible adult is doing, which includes work, right? And the nature of first responders work is very different. You're meeting people on literally the worst day of their lives, and you're seeing that on repeat. So you tend to kind of your lens, right? Hopefully not, but tends to shift and start to see the worst in humanity if you're not taking those steps to mitigate that and kind of take those frames off and see the goodness in life and all those things. So
I am reminded of a book called Why Zebras Don't Get Ulcers. And the whole, I guess, premise of it is when, we'll call him Fred. Fred the zebra is out doing his zebra shit wherever they do their zebra shit. And a hyena or whatever animal comes charging, chasing, trying to kill. Fred's going to run his little zebra butt off and evade being killed. And in the moment, his adrenaline's jacked up, blood pressure's jacked up, releasing glucose, releasing stress hormones because he needs to save his life. But as soon as the threat is gone, Fred is back to doing zebra shit. He's not worried about buying Mrs. Zebra a bigger house, getting himself a Ferrari, all of these, like someone cut him off in traffic. And that's why they don't get ulcers, because they just don't worry about zebra shit when they don't have to. And we as humans have this huge allostatic load. I'm still thinking about the lady that cut me off in traffic the other day. It's just stupid. It's all stress.
Right.
It's all stress. Stress is stress. Cool.
Yeah.
So Sebastian, like practically, what can we do about sort of strategizing training around these schedules and the stress? Like, what is the workaround for these shift schedules? What the hell can we do?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, like any other stressor, if you avoid it, it's not going to get any better, with whether it's back pain, whether it's like, oh, I don't have time to train. Like we've got to find ways. Right. So, something that comes to mind, like first to mind, is when anybody starting to study for promotion, it's like they completely forget about anything else, right? And I get it. It's a stressful 3 months. You're doing those things. But if you look at a lot of the research, if you just take your training load and just cut it down to a third, like very manageable, like little, like you talk about exercise snacks, essentially, you're going to be able to actually retain a lot of your fitness. And for a lot of folks, like especially your hard chargers, you're actually going to get stronger and fitter because you're recovering. Your training load is not so high all the time for those 3 months that you're actually able to recover, because you're not training 12 times a week, sort of a thing, right? So being okay and like accepting that my training volume for this season of life or this phase is going to be a little bit lower, but understanding too that going from hero to zero is not an option. Like we see it all the time, and then folks come back, they promote, they take their test, and they try to jump in with a crew workout, and all of a sudden, ooh, we tried to do sprints in my hamstring, or ooh, I loaded those squats a little bit too heavy, right? Because 3 months we've been sitting down reading, So I think to sum that up, like don't go hero to zero. Let's focus on small, short workouts that at the very minimum get you moving in a full range of motion in multiple planes, right? Simulates the job, that sort of thing. Is it going to be your best workouts and the most fruitful? Probably not. Is it going to keep the needle moving on your fitness? Absolutely. And that's what we want. That's absolutely what we want. The other thing is going to be the timing on your workouts. So if you just work one of those stand-up 24s we talked about, where you were up all night, or for our firefighters, if you got woken up 4 times after midnight, one of the things we talk about is like you should try and work out that day, as hard as it is to motivate yourself to do that. What you're doing is basically increasing, I think it's called sleep pressure, but you're going to finish your workout and you're going to have this endorphin rush, and you're pushing yourself to stay awake to keep a normal bedtime. versus you get home and you take a 5-hour nap. And now your normal bedtime, you're wired, right? You took some caffeine, you took that 5-hour nap, and now you're having to adjust that bedtime. And we know for recovery, like sleep especially, the best thing you can do is keep the same time for sleep. That's how it works. Is it going to be perfect as a first responder? No, but control what you can control, which for the most part should be off shift. So exercise right after shift is actually really good. Now, same thing with what we talked about with promotions. Is it going to be your best workout? No, right? I'd recommend like a like single modality zone 2, like kind of put in some headphones and zone out, like a sled drag, an uphill treadmill walk, something where it's not very like coordination heavy, if that makes sense. Because we know like you're after being up for 24 hours, I think your blood alcohol level's at 0.1, which is, or the equivalent of 0.1, which is crazy to think about. So your coordination's down and all these things. So if you're doing a snatch to, this and that and all this craziness, right, that risk of injury is going to go up. But if we do something, 1 or 2 modalities, pretty simple, you don't need to worry about that. And you're going to increase that sleep pressure, keep a normal bedtime, keep recovering, and making sure that we're keeping on the right track.
Sebastian, you said something really interesting, and it's something that I was not familiar with until recently. I'm embedded myself with the large agency now, and I hear this. They have a lot of promotions. Driver is a promotion, and then, station officer is promotion. But the testing process is very, very competitive, and it's very, very study heavy. I don't know how to say it. Like, our testing process was difficult, but I didn't feel like I needed to turn off my entire life in order to get through this testing process. And so I think that this whole idea of keeping that minimum effective dosage of training, whether it is for promotional or whether it is for the time in your life when you have brand new twins in the ICU or whatever, I think that's really key. So what could that look like? Like you said, a sled drag, zone 2 cardio, something like that. Would you apply that same reasoning to, say, strength training sessions as well? What would that look like?
I think so as well. Like, if you take anywhere from like probably a third of the weight you were using, or even, you could go about it a few different ways. You can go weight. I'm a fan of just cutting sets, right? That way you could still go heavy and go hard, which I think is key for our firefighters to feel that you're getting something out of it. But you're only going for 1 or 2 sets, right? So you're hitting that threshold, but you're touching hard is what I like to say. You're touching hard, but you're not living in hard. So that we stay used to it, right? We know what that feels like. But halving the volume, thirding the volume, whatever really they have time for is kind of where it's at. And that's where, we can get all scientific on, hey, it technically should be a third or this or that, but it's, hey, realistically, what do you have time for? If you have 20 minutes, like pick 2 movements that you're going to focus on, right? You should feel tired afterwards. So whatever your training goal is, let's pick an appropriate set and rep range. Let's attack that. Once that 20-minute timer is off, boom, you can go back to studying or doing what you got to do.
And I think that there's some really good data out there that cognitively that's going to help you too. Just sitting at your desk or wherever you're studying for just hours on end without moving. I think that you don't get the best bang for your proverbial buck.
Yep. 100%.
Nice. Well, you also, within your talk, I really liked this part. You were heavy on the integration of sort of the occupational readiness, which obviously we want all of our first responders to be very occupationally ready, but also that sort of attention to their health, which I love. Michael Easter said, like, our lifespan's longer than ever, but our health span is shorter than ever. So I like that you integrate occupational health or performance and health. So dig into how you do that. Sure.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about it on the aerobic capacity earlier with the VO2 example. So I won't cover that one, but I kind of go back. It's kind of the spiel I give them with our fitness assessment. When we test muscular endurance, we test inverted rows for reps. We test push-up for reps. Your muscular endurance, you're testing strength to an extent, right? Relative body strength. And we talk about from a performance standpoint, like if you can get, for us, for the number I kind of use, if you're at about 35 push-ups or above, like your likeliness to be an asset on the fire ground and be able to move your weight much better is going to be significantly higher than folks that are below that, right? Same thing with the rows, right? If you're able to get about 35 or above, right, the higher the better. You're going to be much more of an asset on the fire ground because relative strength plays a huge component of it, right? Being able to carry your body weight well, in addition to the SCBA and all the gear, is part of it. But also, if we're talking from a just reps perspective, if you're able to touch like 50 and get up there at those little bit higher reps, like, yes, it's not exactly measuring strength like a 1 rep max bench press or that sort of thing, but it's a pretty good proxy. If I know you can do that, like, not only can you move your body weight well, but for those lift assist patients, like, you're probably going to be pretty good, and get, as long as you can get in good positions, to be able to do that part of the job as well. So it kind of marries the muscular strength and the muscular endurance. And then from a health and wellness standpoint, like, we talk to our guys a lot about, they'll make a lot of calls to nursing homes. And I say this jokingly, but it's kind of true. Like, if you look at the folks in the nursing homes, there's no but. Like, it's
a flash. A flash.
It is. Yes. Thank you. And we know, like, that's hip extension, and that's at that age, right? We don't think about it now, but that's the ability to be able to stand up, right? Be an independent human being. And I'm living that right now with my parents. My parents are getting older and I'm seeing that. And it's the perfect example of, like, man, this is why you got to be active like now and build that up now. It's never too late, but you want to raise your level to a point where you're here, because everyone's going to decline. But if you're here versus here, your ability to be independent and do the things you love you're going to be able to do that a lot longer. So from the muscular endurance, kind of muscular strength standpoint, that's kind of what we talk to our folks about for performance and kind of health and wellness. It's kind of the same thing with power too, right? Like, right now, powers, can be breaking down a door for them, or, if they're doing wall balls, their ability to throw it up in the air. But as you get older, like, power is almost like, it's kind of the same thing, being able to get out of the chair and go from a dead stop and be able to stand up with your body without having to, like, use our arms, right? So they kind of all go hand in hand, and that one's even more important because your power and speed decreases the quickest without training. So that's something that we talk about and try to introduce a little bit slower, because they hear that and they're like, okay, I'm going to go sprint. I'm going to start doing depth jumps and drop jumps. No. Like,
today,
hold on. Let me show you the progressions and, how you can build up and all those things. But we kind of lump those three together. I think it plays nicely. And for them, they can relate quite a bit. They're like, I don't want to be like the folks we have to do. Like, I want to be able to hunt and fish and do all the things they do now. We always ask them, like, what do you want to do when you retire? And the answer is always, honestly, what I do now. It's like, all right, well, what are you doing now to make sure you're doing that? Right. And I'll get some quiet, quiet responses,
and forth and
right.
back and forth. They look at each other. Who's going to say it? Well, it dawned on me recently that, so in the Fire Academy, which is, it's either the short academy 8 weeks or the long academy 18 weeks, there's a lot of sort of, I won't say force feeding, that's not the right word, but the recruits are cued, like, gotta eat, like, you need your calories, you could really, and it's true, like, they have such a high work volume. But I realized that if we don't carefully educate them, we're teaching them to turn off their hunger cues. We're teaching them to eat out of habit, not out of hunger. And we're not setting them up for success long term. So
Correct.
I had to have a conversation with them, like, you are right now fueling yourself for the academy. And we need to continue to fuel ourselves when we get out on the floor and throughout our our lifespan. Otherwise, you're creating health problems for yourself. Same thing with your power, same thing with eccentric control. You become a fall risk.
Right.
Yeah. As a side note, Sebastian, I had a bad day yesterday. It was Special Operations Day. And so aviation, tactical unit, dog, heavy rescue, highline, rappelling, all of the cool stuff. So I was out observing. I just attached myself to one of the groups of 4 and I was standing back. Yeah, it was great. And at one point we came up on a rotation and they kind of just jumped in. The presenters just jumped in. So I didn't get a chance to introduce myself like, hey, I'm AZ. I'm the strength and conditioning coach. And so they had their demonstration and it was great. And at the end, I introduced myself. I'm like, hey, I'm AZ. I'm the strength and conditioning coach. They're like, oh, I thought you were someone's mom. And I was like, I was
Did you slap
crushed.
Wow.
I let him know that I was not happy about that, but it gets worse. So our athletic trainer has a student, a master's student. Her name's Ashton. So anyway, she called me. I had gone up to the training center. She called me. She's like, hey, can you come take a video? I'm going to rappel out of the tower or whatever. I'm like, sure. And I came down and I had my camera out. And one of the recruits who knows me and knows Ashton says to me, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm going to take a video of Ashton. And he goes, oh, is that your daughter? Twice in one day. To this recruit's credit, maybe he didn't realize that, like, he didn't put two and two together. Ashton is the student who's been working with him for the last 8 weeks. But I was like, you little... But also, I'm old.
No.
Like, it's happening.
It's up here.
Well, it's up here until people call me old to my face twice in one day. So, anyway, I got sidetracked by that. Okay, so we were on occupational readiness. And I think one of the things that you did really well was kind of tie all these ideas together, which is this doesn't happen overnight. You have to remain super, super consistent. And we need you to train hard, but we need you to recover harder. So I think you did a great job of tying all that stuff together. Tell me, what should we have talked about that we didn't talk about yet?
Whew.
I know. That's like wide open because what's coming next is my favorite question of the day.
Let me think. We talked, I'm trying to think of the presentation. We talked a little bit about when you're strength training or even when you're conditioning, we're all competitive. We all, want to, think of ourselves as our 20-something-year-old selves. But, when you're training, like use 90% of like a recent max. If you don't have an idea what that is, like do a very conservative rep max, and don't be tied to that number, like whether it's a mile run time, lifting, whatever that is, like we can always make it more difficult, right? There's a lot of room there, but I tend to err on the side of start conservative, especially with this population, right? They usually have one speed and that is go, go, go. And I'm the one applying the brakes. So if we can be a little bit conservative, right, and actually take that time to like, let's look at movement patterns. Let's take the time to assess how you're moving and actually feel things with stuff like slow eccentrics and build body awareness, then they're going to get a lot more value versus like, hey, we're just slapping weight on, that sort of thing. But playing around too with, if you don't have a lot of time, you're not going to be able to take as many warm-up sets, right? But if you train your slower eccentrics or pauses, that sort of thing, you're able to kind of build body awareness of what's actually happening. Like if you're someone that, has anterior hip shift on a back squat, if you go 5 seconds down, like the chances of you feeling that is going to increase significantly, and you're still going to have a really good training effect and good training adaptation. Will it be a little bit different? Yeah, but I'm a big believer in the basics, and basics build beasts. And if you can always go back to sharpening those skills and making that better, you're overall winning. Your progress is going to go up, even though for for some of them, oh, I don't have more weight on the bar. And it's like, but it's progress isn't always just weight on the bar or faster conditioning times. So, I mean, the same things goes for conditioning. We spend a lot of time teaching them how to run. Like running is definitely a skill. So for the folks that come in for like a one-on-one, we'll video them and show them like, hey, your foot needs to be striking under the hip, about midfoot. And they see like, oh, that's why I have shin splints. I'm literally kicking the ground with my heel. Right. So we'll have them shorten their stride and that sort of thing. But yeah, just slowing things down a little bit and let them know like it's okay to focus on technique. Right. And overall in the long term, like this is what you need to do to get faster, safer, or stronger, safer. It's just it's going to feel different than what you're used to.
I actually went to, and it's worked really well for me. I went to programming with reps and reserve instead of percentages. Yeah. And so listeners, that would be like, I want you to do 5x5 on the hex bar deadlift with, 1 to 2 reps left in the tank after you do your 5. So I'm not prescribing the weight. I'm not prescribing a percentage of the weight. I'm just saying like, you should be able to do a couple more. And for the most part, it's received pretty well. People kind of like, I get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. For Academy, we've switched over to that pretty recently. We've never 1 rep maxed them. And honestly, we've never done percentage based training with them. Yeah. We have some of our team builder programs that do, but for them, it's either, we used to have it, it wasn't reps in reserve. We were doing but what's the other one that's the same thing but opposite? I'm blanking out now.
Oh, yeah, I can see it, but I don't know what it's called.
Procedure rated, yes, whatever it was. And we tell them like 10 and they're like, well, do I need to get to 10? They were just getting confused. So now it's either reps in reserve, or I call it reps in the tank.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Same. Let's dig into your team before I ask the most important question. Let's dig into your team builder programming a little bit. Do you just do like a certain number of generic type programs and people can just be like, hey, Sebastian, I would like to improve my VO2 max. Give me a program. Or how do you do it?
We have a few different programs. So this started out as an opportunity, in the whole entire tactical community, military included. Like we've seen a drop in physical fitness for all recruits, right, all across the board. Just kind of the American lifestyle, and it is what it is. So we initially bought it as a way to provide programming to prepare candidates coming in to the academy. So those workouts are written so that they meet the physical standards for fire. For EMS, we don't have physical standards, so it's just for them to like, hey, do show up in some sort of shape, right? We'll take care of the rest. So it originally started with that. So it's a program meant to improve the 1.5 miles is what we test, and really the muscular endurance and core strength. It's a 3-month program, so we started with that. This year with WFI making the aerobic fitness increase to the 35 percentile. We've actually used it for our folks that are falling below that. And it's been a really great avenue because it's leading to more and more folks wanting to use kind of app-based training. And like, how do you train 1,300 firefighters, 600 medics, and 1,800 police officers? Like the mobile app, that's in my eyes, like that's how you do it. You give them a program, they're able to take videos, ask questions on there. And that's kind of how we do it. So for our incumbents, like you asked, we have a few different programs. We're trying to build that program library out because they're on like shift schedules. We don't have like calendars per se where they're, hey, this 3 months you're going to do it. It's more like, hey, here's this program that has this many workouts. Like, how many workouts a week can you realistically do? Okay, great. You can do 3. Awesome. Fill that out. Get that done. If you have any questions, video your stuff, send me a message, and then we get pinged with any questions they have. So right now, that's how we use it. I'd love to do something like maybe per battalion or like a challenge using the calendar. Like, hey, this quarter we're going to focus on this. Here's this program if you want to follow it, and maybe have some leaderboard workouts where they can compete and get after it and that sort of thing. But yeah, I'd say we use it at a pretty basic level, but we're trying to grow that because I love Excel. I grew up with Excel, but man, this is
Same.
so much nicer to be able to program for them. They have it. It's all on their phone. I mean, that's where we're at now.
Yeah. Are you leveraging peer trainers at all at this point?
We are. They help out with CPAT orientation. So they come and they coach the folks on how to best do that. They help with the actual CPAT runs. So they're proctoring them. Currently, unfortunately, because budget constraints, we are not able to recruit them for academy. But usually we have 2 slots for a peer fitness trainer to sign up and be able to help out with that. And then usually if there's anybody out in operations that, needs help fitness wise or that sort of thing, and that peer fitness trainer feels comfortable, we'll usually reach out, and see if they want to work with them and check in with them, that sort of a thing. But yeah, unfortunately with budgets now, it feels very underutilized. So we're trying to keep them engaged as much as we can. And I'd love to do something like Vanessa's doing with her work group, which we started a few years ago with the WFI, and basically create our own CE that we would submit to the WFI and approve it for CEs through the Fit to Thrive program. But right now, same thing, budget wise, because every time we go train them, they're going to get paid overtime. We're kind of holding out on that. So.
And one final question on that. How many do you currently have? Do you know?
And offhand, it's between 20 and 30.
Okay. That's fair. Okay. Are you ready for the question everybody has been waiting for?
Drum roll.
Do you have a dog?
Oh, you're going to be so sad.
You don't have a dog either?
We do not. But so we moved into our current house in 2017, and the old owners had dogs, and there's a doggy door. The doggy door is still there. I've been fighting that battle with my wife. So my wife didn't grow up with dogs. She likes dogs. It's not that she doesn't like them, but the idea of having to, hey, we're traveling and we got to coordinate where they're going to stay and that sort of thing.
That's fair.
Is just like, she's like, I'm not going to do any of that. And with 2 kids right now, we feel like we're drowning. But I think especially as Santiago gets a little bit older, he's 4 right now, that responsibility piece could really help. Oh, the other thing, AZ, with the neighborhoods around us, it's white picket fences. So all the dogs can see you. So they're barking, and my kids are terrified of dogs because that's all they know. All they know is these dogs barking, because they don't know the difference between an excited dog and like a mean dog. So every time they see a dog, like, they're terrified. But one of my medics was telling me they do somewhere in Austin. I need to find it. They did goat yoga, but she told me she went to puppy yoga.
Yes, puppy yoga.
Yeah,
yes.
I think that is the perfect avenue. And she said it was corgis and another small breed, and I'm like, that'd be perfect. Like that's how we get them, introduced and everything. Because right now, all they know is dogs bark really loud and they want to jump on them, and of course, the dogs are as tall as they are. So,
oh my god.
But yeah,
I mean, the white picket fence thing, you had me at, you can see all the dogs when you go for a walk.
Right.
I know. I was kind of a creeper yesterday with the dog. Yeah. He's not a human remains dog, but I can't remember what they're called. They look for live victims. His name's Dino. And he was really cute. He was a yellow lab.
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, I just eyeballed him. I was respectful. I didn't like scritch the ears or anything like that because he's working, but he's so cute.
I'm going to have to take some video next week. We have our wellness fair at our wellness center, and I forget the name of the company, but I think AFD contracts through them, but it's basically therapy dogs. So there will be like 8 dogs at that wellness fair, and they're just the nicest, cutest, sweetest little pups. I'll have to take some video.
OSU has, I think it's called Pistol Pete Paws or something like that on Fridays, but I'm never on campus on Fridays. They have little trading cards and everything.
Yeah. We have some too. Yeah, I didn't know they did that. They were handing out cards, and I'm like, little puppy business card. This is awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you need to give me your wife's phone number. I will stay on her about the doggy door. I mean, Manny Romero. I just interviewed Manny Romero again today. Manny and his wife do not have a dog either.
No dog? Oh, man.
No dog. Although they're thinking about it. So a little pressure from me. I think that magic can happen.
Yeah, I need you to advocate for me. I think, though, once the kids get older, it just makes sense. They got to learn responsibility. And once they're actually able to do that, I think that'll work well.
And I can
we had a little Boston Terrier growing up.
I can picture your family with a house hippo, a pit bull mix. Yes, a blue-gray pit bull mix with white belly. That's what I'm advocating for.
I like it.
Okay. I have big ideas for other people's dogs. Okay. Listeners, it has been such an honor to talk to my friend Sebastian today. I hope you enjoyed the discussion. Please give a rating, give a review. I'm told that ratings and reviews make the podcast more visible. I don't actually know that. I'm just repeating it because other people say it, but I would sure appreciate it. Sebastian, you got anything else, my dude?
No, that's it. Thank you so much for having me on. This has been great.
Of course. And corn tacos, corn tortillas in September, I think, in Austin.
It's happening.
Okay. Have a great day. Thanks.
Bye, AZ. Take care.